Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
There's a narrative going around that Joe Burrow is no good in the fourth quarter in big games, especially the playoffs. I don't know if you've seen this, but some of the rival fan bases out there are sharing things that just aren't true. Well, I guess they're sort of true, but let's dive deeper. That's what we do here at Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. And if you've seen this meme, I'm only going to show it quick because I don't want to share misinformation. Well, then you may need some ammo to come back at it. Maybe this will be the episode for you. Maybe just share this to the people that say Joe Burrow has failed in the fourth quarter in the playoffs, or he's not good. Whatever narrative they want to push, feel free. But here's the response. And a lot of it is going to deal with analytics and a modern, more accepted calculation that's used is EPA. And we're going to dig into that and what is that. And you could say that they have failed the last 2 years. And that would be fair, right? Because you get to the end of the Super Bowl and you have multiple drives in the second half and you don't get it done. You have multiple drives, at least two, at the end of the Chiefs game, the AFC Championship game, and you fail to get it done on offense. So it is fair to say. But the graphic is misleading. And someone that likes data, like I do, I don't like to see it used this way. So first, before you leave, before you're like, whoa, I don't like this stuff, I don't care about data, there's a lot of film. We're going to go over a lot of film. And some of it may be painful, but a year and a half removed, we should be all right for most of it. Some of it is still within 2023. But also, EPA, which is expected points added, or just EP, which is expected points, first was introduced by a Bengal in 1970, quarterback Virgil Carter. First introduced the idea that we're all comfortable with, that the closer you are to the opponent's goal line, more points you're likely to score. That's all it is. And you'll see when we go over the film here, there'll be examples of every yard isn't equal, right? So if you're on your own 10, your chances of scoring are very low based on the history of the NFL, right? If you're on the other 10, your chances of scoring are extremely high. So every positive play you have there is worth a lot of points. And every negative play there isn't really going to kill you because you're probably still going to have a field goal. But a big 20-yard pass from your own 10 to the 30 isn't worth as much as it is from the other 30 to the opponent's 10. Same 20 yards, but now you're definitely in range to score a touchdown. So it's worth more points in the expected points added range. And same goes for running. You're going to see a lot of negative points added for a run. If it's 3rd and 2 and you get 3 yards, great. That is a good run. You converted, you extended your chance and your opportunity to just put points on the board. But if it's 2nd and 10 and you run for 3, still, you got 2 3-yard runs. Well, that's taking points off the board potentially because you're facing yourself with a 3rd down. And 3rd downs at best, the best offenses in the league are 50-50. So staying out of situations where you're going to give the other team the ball in good field position and instead creating chunk plays and getting the ball into their field position is how you gain the most expected points or add the most expected points added, EPA. So when you see that meme and it says that Joe Burrow's had a negative EPA per play, that basically is saying he has taken points off the board. And even the baseline of 0 would have been better against the Rams and the Chiefs. But I'm here to tell you it's not. It's disingenuous. Number one, because it only includes fourth quarter. And there was an overtime game against the Chiefs where the Bengals needed a drive to get down the field and kick the field goal. And Joe Burrow had a couple of really nice throws. We will see those again. But it's also disingenuous because the offensive line the last 2 years and what he's had to deal with, and I'll show you how many points were taken off the board by big-time sacks and big-time moments. Let's check out the film. So like I said, some of this may be painful, but there are also a lot of good memories when it comes to the playoff game and playoffs the last 2 years. And you see here right away, we get a draw. So this is the beginning of the fourth quarter, first playoff game last year in Cincinnati versus the Vegas Raiders. You see quickly the difference between a first down run for 2 is taking expected points off the board, if you will. But a run of the same distance on 3rd and inches adds your likelihood of scoring points, of ending this drive with points. For an example, if you had an interception and you started on the 30 going in to the end zone, your expected points would be about 2.5, because most teams end up with at least 3 points, but some teams miss field goals. Sometimes things happen. Expected points over the history would be at least 2.5 points. But starting a drive in your own end, as we see here, anything that gets you to 3rd and 7 is going to be a negative. You need to get into advantageous situations like this. You just got to the other side of the field. You got to the Raiders side. That's a nice Joe Burrow ball to Jamar Chase. And again, this is defeating a Joe Burrow narrative, as it's fourth quarter here and he's dealing and giving it to Jamar Chase. They're heating up now. Now they're on the other side, and it's a 7-point game right now. They can put this game away pretty much with a touchdown. But they go to a run on first down. After 2 nice passes to Jamar Chase, again, we're taking points off the board by running it there. And 2nd and 8, conversion to T. Higgins. We're putting points back on the board, plus 1.1. These are solid chunks, especially in the fourth quarter here, down inside the 20. And again, to T. Higgins. So now we're inside the 15-yard line. We need a touchdown, because the meme says Burrow doesn't have a touchdown yet in the fourth quarter, which is true. It's factual. But the Bengals go to the run, and Mixon gets stuffed just about a yard short. And running, we'll get to the complete data at the end. But running again here on 3rd down with a pitch play and ending up short again takes off nearly 2 points off the board, because now your potential for a touchdown is gone. Bengals were short. They measure it. But 2 runs in a row after Burrow's dealing. You could have put this game away. You could have iced this game had you kept the ball in Burrow's hands. So, again, drive total does put points, does put added points, expected added points onto the board. I want to make sure I say that correctly. Expected points added for this drive was 1.4. They get a field goal out of it. So not a bad drive. You make it a 10-point game. But the Bengals get the ball back again after a field goal from the Raiders, and they start it with a run, taking points off the board, taking a chance for them to score. Again, another run to, this time, Jamar Chase. So 2 runs in a row. Look, I get it. You want the clock running. You want them to waste their timeouts. This is their last timeout right here. And you want to get yourself to a 3rd and 11. I tell you what's a better option here. Just converting and getting a first down. Just letting Joe Burrow have the ball in his hands and converting and getting a first down. Instead, they gave the Raiders a chance to come back in this game, and Jermaine Pratt picked it off. But I would say their offensive play calling, nothing wrong with Joe Burrow's play at all. He did everything he was supposed to do. But the play calling kind of failed them situationally there. One of the best runs we'll get out of the playoffs, the entirety of this video. Remember, these are just fourth quarter and overtime. So these are crucial situations. These are situations where the Bengals need to add points, where most of these are tied games or really close games where a score probably puts it away. So there, you just saw 2 big plays in a row, and then the Bengals go back to the run and almost wipe out most of it away with a negative 0.9, because you're out of field goal range. So it's a really high risk, high reward situation when you're at the 40. Because gaining 5 yards puts you at the 35 and makes the field goal easy. Losing 5 yards, and here it is, 3rd and 3, and Joe Burrow takes a sack and knocks them all the way to the 50. Not only, you can see, it doesn't take a mathematician. It took 3 points off the board, because now you can't kick a field goal. And a tied 16-16 game. So when that meme says that Joe Burrow has a negative EPA in the playoffs in the fourth quarter, the sacks are a big part of it. Here we are again, another sack. Those 2 plays right there added up. That's going to wipe out the entire game of positive points added. So that is part of it. It's a big part of it. I think it's clearly been a part of our story that I think people from the outside haven't fully understood that the offensive line was that bad. That how many sacks? I mean, it was the story in this game. Don't get me wrong. I mean, would they give up the record of sacks and winning in a playoff game easily? I mean, he got beat up in this game, and they still found a way to win. As it's 16-16 here, and we get a false start. And I want to say that false start was on, I remember correctly because I was watching this. It was on Joe Mixon, right? So now it's 1st and 15. You see the type of points that takes off, and they go to a run on 1st and 15. A run. Again, that's twice now, maybe 3 times if you want to say both those drives versus the Raiders. But you're going to the run on 1st and 15. You're not adding points to the board. You're not adding to your chances of scoring here. And then we get a check down again. So you're accepting, while these are positive plays, you're accepting a 3rd and 8 situation from the 48. That is not good. And he gets sacked out of it, wiping all the points off the board again. A drive total of potentially. So when it says negative 2.2, it means you gave the other team positive opportunity to convert or to put points on the board for them. I'm sorry. I'm losing focus because I wanted to rewind this here. Let's go back 10 seconds, okay? Here's the interception by Logan Wilson, right? Ryan Tannehill. I want to talk about faltering in the playoffs, Ryan Tannehill. But the Bengals need a play here. There's 20 seconds left. Did we forget this? He's not clutch? You're telling me he's not clutch in the playoffs or in the 4th quarter? Bengals, granted, here's the situation. Bengals have 2 timeouts. So they can use the entire field. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but they're showing a middle of the field close with a safety up here. They're basically saying we're not going to let this guy over here get open. That if you want to throw it to him, there's double coverage, and you got to throw it to the boundary. You're not going to be able to use them open up middle of the field and then burn a timeout after you get to the 40 or so. We're not going to let you do that. So what it is, though, is it's cover 2 man. And I think it's man trail. By the way, Janoris Jenkins lets him go. And both almost the safety and the corner are playing him like it's man coverage. Like they are shadowing Jamar Chase. And if you watch it, okay, also to set up the scenario. So you need one chunk play in a clutch situation, clearly. I don't know if I had to say that or not. But outside release for Jamar Chase, gets to the top of the route, and he's going to lean in, and both Jenkins and the safety are like, oh no, because it's middle of the field open once both safeties ended up splitting. It ended up not being a safety in the middle of the field. It ended up being middle of the field open. So they're exposed inside, and they know it. And Chase gets to the top of his route, and he slams down. And when he does, both guys bite. Burrow pulls the trigger, lays it on a rope. Bang. Put points on the board, a chance for it. And the Bengals are going to settle for a long field goal here. Remember, they're only at the 34, and they run it up the middle. They get a couple yards, but not enough. It's a negative 0.2. Doesn't really mean much. That's a very small fraction of a number. But the kneel downs also count in his EPA totals. Why? Because the meme is disingenuous, right? It's meant to be misleading. Evan McPherson hits the 53-yard field goal. The Bengals are going to the AFC Championship game in 2021 because of a clutch play, not just by Logan Wilson at the end, but by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Let's not forget they needed one play. They needed one more chunk play to get in there. So now 4th quarter starts here. Bengals get the ball. We got a play action, something Burrow's not very good at. All the numbers suggest it. And we get an interception right off the bat. So again, the meme says 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the 4th quarter. And it's right. It's true. Can't deny simple facts like that. This ball's laid too far inside. Should have been on a rope. He tries to step up in the pocket. It collapses on him. Doesn't get fully into it. So it's interception, start of 4th quarter. We got a tie game 21-21. I think Mahomes turns it over right after that. So it ends up not killing them at all. Bengals go back to the run game. Again, most runs are a negative EPA. This is probably one of the worst plays that gets forgotten. He almost threw a pick here. Like if evaluation perspective, like PFF would give them a negative here. But it also was a negative 0.7, which is why I like EPA, because you didn't gain positive yards on a 2nd and long situation. And because of it, you took a potentially good situation and made it a 3rd and 7, a situation you don't want to be in. But Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow, and it's why it gets us fired up and why everyone believes in him. You get a run. Don't forget the runs. Don't just use his passing EPA. His scrambling EPA is at 6 runs in the playoffs, plus 4.1 total is his expected points added on the ground, which is pretty good. Clutch situations, clutch runs. Joe Burrow, the first one right here that we'll see again very soon. And the Bengals go right back to the run game. Sensing a trend here, they go right back to the run game, potentially taking points off the board. Something very different that when we get to the second Chiefs game from last year, where they're like, yeah, we're not going to lean on the run game this time. We're not going to do that. And it still didn't work, but you're down 3 offensive linemen. Anyway, so now again, we're in 3rd and long. Again, that's why those previous plays are negatives, because you don't want to be here. You don't want to be in this situation. But Joe Burrow being Joe Burrow takes off with his legs. Don't forget, he can move. And now between the 2 runs now, he's almost put a field goal on the board. There was an offside there. I clipped it a little too close, but adds a 0.6 to it because now they're at the 50, and you hit T. Higgins, and he goes a little bit beast mode on them for a couple extra yards there. And now the Bengals are in business. 21-21, and they're driving down the field at the 34.5-yard line. Let's go back to the run game. Well, it was false start on Jackson Carman, so that will keep them out of running if it's 1st and 15. At least you hope. So here we are, 1st and 15, back to the 39-yard line now. And we try a back shoulder vertical type ball. Didn't work. It's 1st and 15. It's okay. You still got 2 more plays to pick this up. But it hurts your chances of converting. You at least got to get in field goal range. 2nd down, Jamar Chase, on one of the rare times he's tackled one-on-one, gets them into manageable field goal range now. And 3rd down. So again, have we had an issue with anything that Joe Burrow has done now through 3 games in the playoffs in the 4th quarter? This being maybe too quick to dump it down, but it's based on coverage. Sometimes being we used to complain about Andy Dalton doing that. But when you got Evan McPherson, sometimes the EPA isn't exact. Not everyone's been able to kick 50-plus yard field goals in these situations. Bengals were. They are. Evan McPherson can do it. So now we're in overtime. Don't forget the overtime stats. People out there that are making these memes. Jesse Bates, Von Bell, tip of the cap. Thank you for your service. Bengals get the ball in overtime from the 45, and they put the ball in Joe Burrow's hands right away. 2 T. Higgins, pickup of 9, or does he get to 10? He gets 9 there. 2nd down. I think he might have missed a play. No, 2nd one. Okay. I was getting nervous there. They go back to the run. What? Mixon's on fire in this overtime. May have forgotten. It's really not worth anything, but you get the 1st down. I don't agree. I think that's worth something. Getting the 1st down is important. It's valuable here. They go back to the run. So this is when Zach Taylor's like, hey, we can run it. This is why I go to the run, because when it works, it works. But it's 2nd and 8. Let's go back to Joe Burrow. T. Higgins, nice throw. Lays it up where 23 can't get it. Or is that 27? Doesn't matter. He's probably not even on the team anymore. That's in field goal range. That puts points on the board, at least the chance for it. And the Bengals go back to the run. And Joe Mixon's on it, and he's feeling it, man. And the Chiefs look like they're done. Right? Watch them defend right here. They look defeated. They look beaten. They look like maybe we can get them to strip it. Maybe something can happen, but half the guys are even running here. I would have loved to see Mixon run that in all the way, right? If he could have stayed on his feet. Give me $1 every time I've said that, but if he could have stayed on his feet and got in there, that would have been awesome. But again, one more run here. I don't know why that's negative 0.5. Because of situation, right? So you gotta. Doesn't help you put points on the board if it was a neutral situation, but the situation here is we want to kneel the ball. We just want to set up the field goal. It's overtime to go to the Super Bowl. So that's negative 1.6. That's a kneel down. So if you're using that meme, look right there. That's a negative 1.6 to kneel it down to kick a chip shot field goal to go to the Super Bowl. Virgil Carter, I don't know where you came up with this. He probably didn't perfect it. He probably just, was one of the first guys to theorize it. But Virgil Carter, I'm judging you on that one. So now we're in the Super Bowl. I know some of you have never even watched this, but fourth quarter, 14 minutes left. Bengals are running the ball. They're up by 4 points. I'm sorry, guys. And Joe Burrow is going to buy some time, hit Tyler Boyd, and that's worth a 1.6. They're at the 34-ish yard line, 33. These refs were spotting them short all day. Bengals go back to the run game. And I don't think overall, I think it was 62 passes called versus 41 runs in the fourth quarter and overtime. So 60% clip. You wonder if that would have been caught, how much different that game goes right there. 60% clip passing. Bengals are a little bit higher than that normally. So 3rd and 9, you need something. And again, EPA, guys, minus 2.7 because we also have a penalty on Isaiah Prince, which counts for the play because you're going to back them up 15 yards after the sack. Burrow gets a little nicked up there too. Don't forget that part. He ends up needing surgery on that knee. I think it was an MCL sprain. But, yeah, the offensive line again. So when you're using the EPA meme, don't forget the sacks. Big-time sacks and big-time moments. There you go, Joe Mixon. Plus 0.6. Because they're so far in their territory. If that's a run on the other 40, that's worth probably 1.1, 1.2. Mixon twice in a row. This is when I thought, because we saw how many times in 2021 where the Bengals would turn to the run game and just say, let's go. And they'd be able to do it. But you go to the well a little bit too many times and you get stuffed. And now you're accepting a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2. I don't know if they lost the yard there or not. 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2. Let's see. Chris Evans made a play. I'm as shocked as you are. I forgot about this one. Plus 0.8 on the board for the EPA. Bengals are in business here. They just need a touchdown, and the game is over. They probably win the Super Bowl if they can score a touchdown. This play stinks. That sucks. Everything about that sucks. So play action and then a quick pass to the running back. That's where the action's going. You're going to give them the ball? That sucks. Forget it. And then a draw. This is probably 2 plays that I know the 3rd play actually now. These are probably 3 plays that lost in the game. Tyler Boyd's first drop of the season. Is that on Joe Burrow? Meme creators, is that on Joe Burrow? So now the Bengals are down 3. They need a field goal. You got a minute 19. Get down the field like you have all year. Big play to Jamar Chase. Over the middle to Tyler Boyd. 2nd down. They're keeping it in Burrow's hands at least. Burrow doesn't like what he sees, puts the ball up because Isaiah Prince is getting smoked. This is a throwaway. That's why it's out of bounds. Didn't like what he saw, threw it away. 3rd and 1. I'm right. If you got a play to burn, it's 2nd and 1. Pirine, stuffed. Aaron Donald. It's close. Should have been closer than what he's spotting it at. That was on 3rd and 1. Pirine's in the game. Can't convert. 4th and 1 now. We've seen this play 100 times. Aaron Donald does what Aaron Donald does. Can't get the ball off in time. Didn't go for the big play. Is that on Joe Burrow? We're on the 2022 now. We've got 10 minutes left in this game. Bengals are up by 7. This is after the Sam Hubbard touchdown, the long Sam Hubbard touchdown. We got a run by Mixon that doesn't really get much. We got T. Higgins going beast mode again. How about playoff T? We've seen a couple plays here where he's just super aggressive. And then underneath throw to Pirine on 3rd downs. But Bengals get out of it with a roughing the punter penalty. And they go back to the run. Again, you sense a theme here. Every time they get a break or a big play, they go back to the run. And getting nothing. And accepting the 2nd and 10 situation. Again, this is similar to the Super Bowl game where they check it down to Mixon, and there's 2 defenders there, so who cares if he even drops it? So they got 3rd and 10, where you don't want to be. Jackson Carman gets beat around the edge for a sack. That drive, when it says -5, that means you're giving the other team a chance to really score a touchdown on this next drive from what could have been. You get a 15-yard penalty on a special teams. You get a bonus down, and you can't do anything? Nice run, but there's a flag. We got holding on Jackson Carman. Carman truthers, you forgot about these plays, didn't you? You forgot about these. Don't lie to me. You forgot. So now we're backed up big time. Ball's a little high. There's been no real egregiously missed throws by Joe Burrow to this point. That's probably the biggest miss so far. It's a little high. I think Ja'Marr Chase probably catches that 9 out of 10 times. I think most people would agree. Between those two, Burrow tries to run on 3rd and 10 because you're in 3rd and 10 because you had that first down penalty by Jackson Carman. Drive total, again, kills them. That's game over, though. They were able to hold on defense. That's why people say defense won it for them. But, again, the offensive line killed those drives. The reliance on the run killed those drives. There was nothing wrong with Burrow. But the running game against Buffalo was working. One of the best running performances they've ever had. It wasn't gaudy in terms of numbers. It was just physical dominance. Them daring you to throw it by how they were playing with both safeties back and deep. And the Bengals saying, okay. And doing it. You get an RPO there on 2nd and 2. Turns into a 3rd and 2 situation. What are the Bengals going to do? They're at the 30-yard line. They could probably kick a field goal from here. Joe Burrow lays back, throws it up to T. Higgins. We get a pass interference call. Again, this doesn't help Joe Burrow's EPA because it wasn't completed. The team's EPA went up by 2.6. They're almost guaranteed a field goal there. The team's EPA went up. This is the only Burrow run that went for negative also. I think it was a read option. This ball's high. Could have been a touchdown. I would like Hayden Hurst to catch that ball anyway. But it's why you're getting points directly taken off the board. The run up the middle gets stuffed on 3rd and goal. 3rd and goal run. I get it. They're up by 2 scores. You get a field goal here. But does it help Joe Burrow's EPA in the memes? It does not. Because you get the biggest play was a penalty on pass interference on a deep ball to T. Higgins, which, if it's caught, Joe Burrow's passing EPA numbers look much better. And again, we're running the ball. We're running it. Look at that run. There's Samaje Perine. Where was that in the Super Bowl? The Rams are still into it. The Bills were curling up in a ball and taking their beating at the flagpole at 3 o'clock. Again, these are just, it gives you an idea of what running plays are worth. Getting 0, right? Getting 1 or 2. You have to get 4. You have to get 5, really, to get positive. Even this right here, because it's 2nd down and you're running the ball, it's almost neutral at 0. It's 0.1 negative. But this, getting it on 3rd down, is worth so much more. Converting and giving yourself a new set of downs on the ground. Really, the best time to run the ball is 3rd and short. That's about it. 2nd and short, 3rd and short. Or else don't run the ball if you want to look good in the analytics department. And, the numbers say you'll score more points by doing it that way. So, that's what we're kind of looking at right here, aren't we? How do you score the most points possible when you're averaging only like 23.8 in the playoffs? This needs to be a 30-point team in the playoffs. They would have won that Super Bowl. They would have won the AFC Championship game. It's got to be 30 points. False start, Cordell Volson. They were going to try and get the Bills to jump on 4th and inches. Tyler Boyd giving them a little crap there at the end. That's all right. We'll move on to the Chiefs game now. A lot of people don't remember that this was the very first play of the 4th quarter was this bomb to Ja'Marr Chase. Man, the Bengals needed a spark. You had 13 points in the first 3 quarters. Not going to cut it. This adds 5.4 expected points onto the board from being fourth down out of field goal range, or at least on the fringe. The expected here is 0.2. The expected. And the actual expected points added was a +5.4. What a play. That's a huge play. What a play. They'll show that probably forever in Ja'Marr Chase's highlights. Joe Burrow did throw it up there. It's part of the reason why the meme exists again. Because the Bengals chose to run the ball down here. Fine, you score, whatever. 20-20. Put a touchdown on the board. Let's pull this game to a tie and give the ball to Burrow two more times with under 10 minutes remaining in this contest to go to the Super Bowl. We got a holding penalty here on Ted Karras. It's going to take a point off the board, expected point off the board, and really back the Bengals up. They're inside their 10. Both of these drives at the end. While we critique both of these drives as not getting points when your team needs them, man, you're starting deep in your own territory. Punting, big difference in this game. They have a Pro Bowl punter, and the Bengals had a punter that gave the Chiefs a free 25 yards probably. What a play here by Joe Burrow. Again, we're just using passing stats on a lot of these, talking about his quarterback rating and passer rating and yada yada. The expected on this, on 3rd and long, was negative. It was negative. And Joe Burrow shakes Nick Bolton in the open field. Nice run by Joe Mixon, getting a little power. This is when I thought, after that run, that's what I thought, like, oh, we're going to see the magic. Here it is. This ball actually hits Ja'Marr Chase in the face. I broke this down on Bengals on the Brain last year. The defender goes right in front of him, then the ball hits him. He just never sees it. And he tries a deep downfield jump ball. Why it's not worth that much taking points off the board? Because it's similar to a punt. But it does go down as an interception. 2 fourth-quarter interceptions versus the Chiefs. We saw the one to start the fourth quarter last year, and then that one there. Again, they're starting deep in their own territory. They started within their 15. Was it? Yeah, it was inside their own 10 again. Now Burrow scrambling and running for his life a little bit. 2nd and 7. I don't know how this was. I was going to say I don't know how this was intentional grounding. They called intentional grounding. P. Ryan was in the area. I think he threw it too short. Doesn't take that much off the board again because they're so far back. Chances of scoring anyways are pretty low based on the history. 3rd and 16 from the 9. Burrow steps up. Hayden Hurst. The expected there is low. But Hayden Hurst finds a way to get open. Burrow finds him and sees him. The expected there was negative. And you get a positive chunk out of it. That's twice now on 3rd down deep. But yet Joe Burrow isn't clutch. This one stinks. Because it keeps the clock rolling. You didn't gain a lot. Your chances of scoring don't increase because you get to the 35 and waste time off the clock. And then a miss to Trent Irwin. That's probably the biggest miss, actually. Accuracy-wise, I can't really tell what he was going for there. The other ones were just slightly misses. And brings us to the end. The 3rd down sack. Drive total adds a chance for the Chiefs to score. And then after the punt, really put it on there. Offensive line. Yet again. So yes, they failed in the most critical situations of most of our football lives. But is Joe Burrow clutch? Is he bad in the playoffs? If you use straight EPA and just only use the fourth quarter, maybe that argument could be made. But also, the argument can be made that if you take away the sacks from the total EPA, so let's look at this first. He was 34 of 50 passing. That's 68% completion percentage. We're talking these are crucial games in the fourth quarter and overtime. For 319 yards, passing 6.4 yards per attempt on the low side. That's fair. But his EPA total passing is positive. Plus 3.8 expected points added. If you're over 0, you're doing good. So that negative meme is not about his passing. That meme that says he's negative EPA pass in the playoffs in the fourth quarter, not about his passing. How about his scrambles? He's got 6 of them for 39 yards. That's 6.5 yards per run. That's a positive. Points added, expected points added, positive 4.1. It's a positive 7.9 if you take his passes and his runs. Positive 7.9. Now, if you include his kneel downs, it's a negative. You take away negative 1.8 from the EPA. Who would include the kneel downs, if we're being honest? Kneel downs mean you won the game, or at least give yourself a chance to kick a field goal in actually most of these scenarios, which is why it's negative, because they didn't win the game yet. But doesn't matter. Let's be honest. The sacks, 6 of them in the fourth quarter. I think they were all on third down. This doesn't even include the false starts and the holds on the offensive line, or the pressures where he had to get the ball off early, or without getting his full body into it, or he had to run. That Ravens game we saw, he had to run, didn't get much out of it. The sacks in total, 6 of them, minus 11.6 expected points added. The sacks alone in the fourth quarter have given the opponent a chance to score 12 extra points, is what it's saying. Per play, minus 1.93. Huge. Huge. You can cut those sacks in half. It doesn't include the sacks. Don't include the Aaron Donald getting in on the very last play of the game of the Super Bowl. If you took the pressures and the sacks and cut them in half, you at least get 1 Super Bowl ring. You can't change my mind about that. Running overall, though, I said they ran 41 times for 142 yards. So 41 runs in the close game scenarios in the fourth quarter when you need to score in a lot of them. 41 carries for 142 yards. That's 3.46 yards per carry. Not good. That's a negative EPA total for running the ball. Really, their best chance is putting the ball in Burrow's hands. Let him throw it. Let him run it. We don't need data to know that. If you're not big on the data, that's great. That's fine. Hopefully I'll show you some things that are fun to look at or correlate to success. EPA is a good one. The meme is incorrect and disingenuous. But if you're going to share this to somebody that says something like this about Joe Burrow not being good in the fourth quarter playoffs or clutch, I'll tell you why we don't even entertain the thought of that. Because we've seen him do it in the playoffs. We've seen him do it in the regular season. And when I said we've seen him do it in the college football playoffs, we were all watching that. You guys forget, that wasn't just LSU. Bengals fans were watching those college football playoffs, that LSU team. But then we saw him do it as a rookie in his first game. The first game he ever played against the Chargers. Nobody in the crowd. No preseason. Truncated camp. And the Bengals need a score. And he drives down and delivers. They called push-off on A.J. Green for the game-winning touchdown. All right, field goal. Send it in overtime. Randy Bullock pulls both calves and misses a chip shot. Again, we saw Joe Burrow do it. And he's done it multiple times throughout. And because he's done it, and because we know he can do it, right? Because that's the other part. There was no faith in Andy Dalton pulling out these games. He had a couple in his career, no doubt. But the belief is different. The way the players rally around them is different. You want to know why we won't even discuss this premise? Is because if you give the ball to Joe Burrow and the Bengals need a score and it's late in the game, I don't care what the history says. There's not a person out of the 67,000 at Paycor Stadium that doesn't believe he's going to get it done, including any opponent. They truly believe he's going to drive them down the field and get them the points they need. And that gives me chills just thinking about it. I'm excited to see it again because the situation will come again. and I believe in Joe Burrow. This has been Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. Don't believe the memes. I'm Joe Goodberry. Until next time.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.